Coronavirus. Are you starting to get a little bit scared now?
No, like a lot of stuff's coming out that like now Americans have to worry because coronavirus is going to change like our way of life for the time being.
Like it's affected the stock market massively. Do you see this as an opportunity to buy, or has it destroyed everything if you're an investor?
I think it's great for Corona because it's getting their brand out there. So like Corona
beer, yeah.
Corona's over, like, this is bad, but our sales are up.
Yeah, the Corona beer price is going to skyrocket up.
They're going to come out with like anti-Corona.
Yeah, like Corona. Have a beer this season. Keep yourself grounded. It's going to be okay. They'll play on something like that.
Don't have any fear. Have a beer.
That's amazing. Yeah. Have no fear. Have a beer. That's wicked. Yeah. Needs to open up a drop shipping account and put that on a t-shirt straight away. Copyright it.
Scare people when a giant crate labeled Corona starts dropping.
So you're not scared at all?
Not really. I mean, not as the bird flu was a thing. SARS was a thing. What was the last one? Ebola. Like, I think like every year, like something new comes out and like tries to scare us, and like I guess it never does what it's supposed to do.
You know how man is like become really smart, and we're able to counteract sort of anything nature throws at us. Will there be a point where we are unable to simply become God, and something like this will just wipe us out completely, and we just have no control over it for the first time?
That's when the machines take over, man.
You've frozen, so if you were talking, say that again.
No, that's when the machines take over. Like, that's when the Judgment Day Terminator stuff starts happening. Because there's this guy going around the internet right now saying that 5G is what's causing coronavirus.
It's fucking outrageous.
and that now that all of these because China was like the one, I guess, to like shift everything over to 5G. And now they're going down with this, and the U.S. is slowly rolling it out, which I think it's crap because like Arizona's had 5G for about a year or so now. And nobody over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Arizona had 5G. So, you know, Huawei are making 5G, whatever. Are you saying that they weren't the first?
I don't think so. Because I was in Arizona in September, and there was 5G there, which blew my mind. Arizona's a shitty state, but like they had 5G, so I was like, it evens out.
So how come, for example, Trump didn't... How come, for example, he's trying to, like, say, ban Huawei, but he wasn't promoting the Arizona 5G company? Surely that would have been a great opportunity to be like, don't go to China, go to Arizona.
Because that sentence you just said has never been uttered in the history of human existence. Go to Arizona.
Yeah, but like it'll be a good way to promote an American product rather than a Chinese product. Like he missed an opportunity, didn't he? Little Trumpy Trump.
I think it'd be better to start with a different state. It's like, hey, it's 115 degrees at night over here. Come on over. It's great.
There's no humans around, but you can get Amazon products delivered so quickly with this 5G.
Like, construction workers have to work at night because of horrid conditions, and it's still horrible at night. But the 5G, I'm telling you, Pornhub, like that.
Oh, yeah, literally. Like they said, when you have fiber optic or 4G, Pornhub won't buffer. Of course, it does buffer. So you get 5G, you're told it won't buffer. Of course, it will buffer. It's just the way it is. Nothing's going to be completely like, boom, like, it's just not reality, is it?
The porn industry would like crumble for 24 hours if like there was no buffering and like perfect speeds.
Literally,
like it would just.
Can you imagine how many people go and get a Babe Station magazine?
God.
Or Playboy mag? Mom, I'm going to Walmart. It's 12 in the morning. Yeah, but I need to get something.
It's like, look, I need to rub one out, and there's nothing I can do. There's an empty.
His dad doesn't have any mags.
There's an empty bottle of Powerade right there. It's got some nice curves. Dillian Harper.
I was listening to a YouTube video last night before bed about how, Stonehenge and Egyptian pyramids and different parts of the world, there's like crop circles and stuff. Well, as I was falling asleep, I was understanding that in different parts of the world, there are these like things that are set up, but they're all in harmony with the other things. So Stonehenge is in harmony with the crop circles, and the Egyptian pyramids. Something to do with that part of the earth has a stronger magnetic field, and the sun comes up at a certain time, so it's charged differently. And that the other parts of the world, the energy is also very strong and in harmony there. And so it all works together to create this massive energy, basically. And like, we have tractors to lift up rocks these days, but it seems that if they had came across this energy thing, like we've come across it with like internet and 3G and stuff, but they did it for like moving big physical objects. So you can use sound to move things, but on a bigger scale, you can move massive rocks. So it's like, there's no explanation to how these people could lift these rocks onto massive rocks. Like, you'd need like fucking millions of people, literally. But they're working out about the place where it is so different in energy that you can do amazing stuff. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, mostly like ancient alien theories. My theory is it goes back to the porn. Like 60,000 years ago, there wasn't porn. So there was dudes sitting there like, hey, that rock right there, it's perfectly lined up. Let's build about 7 more around it. How are we going to do that? Well, there's all these sexually repressed guys. They can help.
all these horny cavemen, just no clothes on, walking around trying to like...
It's like, look, you guys, there's this thing called slavery. It's controversial, but I think we can use it to our advantage. Just get a bunch of Hebrews, line them up, move these rocks. Isn't that bad? The gods are going to love this, bro. Like, I'm telling you, we line up 3 pyramids together, immortality for one of us.
50,000 years time, they'll come back and they'll be like, damn, these people were genius. Why didn't we think of that? Don't worry.
They're going to be sitting around wondering how we did it. Slaves, that's how we got it done.
Yeah, fucking retards. They think they're the new humans. They had no idea the technology shit we had.
I kind of think like the ancient alien theory does make sense for that. Because these rocks were gigantic. And like, I know I said the whole slavery thing, but I don't think like 50,000 Hebrews really cut up a perfectly symmetrically cubed rock and then lined it up right underneath a star so that it would be like adjacent to another pyramid that was lined up with another star. So like, I think something else was going on right there. Or like you said, just pick up on the energies and stuff.
So another video which I was watching to do with this is they would have, for example, a massive bamboo, like with no middle, hollow, and they'd be like loads of people with the same bamboo, and they'd all chant and make the sound vibration of, say, 528, for example. So they'd all go, ooh, and everyone doing it would create so much energy and so much movement, like when you rub a wine glass, and it goes, that wine glass over there on the same frequency will start to move and smash like a triangle. If you have a triangle here, you ting it tings this one. Well, they were doing that to a frequency that the rock was vibrating at, and they said that they could move rocks, just keep moving rocks. It would just literally move. Like, that's the only way, right? For example, the Stonehenge rocks apparently came from Wales or something, which is fucking miles away. Now, obviously, you can't roll a square rock. If there's no tool or car, how are you going to get there? But the movement and the vibration and sound, which makes the rock move like telekinesis, it does make sense, doesn't it? How could move it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the ancient alien theory, when you like start applying to it, because isn't Stonehenge like in hill country or something?
Yeah, just like land and everything.
And the rocks are like stabbed into the ground as well.
Not sure. I think they're just placed, and then there's like a rock on top. But they said that they could use sound to like cut rocks, so they would have a specific sound vibration focusing there, like a laser does now. And rather than heat, it'll be the sound. Hence why the Egyptians, the rocks are so square. So when you look at it like that, it doesn't make sense, right? But what do you reckon?
Yeah. I mean, something amazing happened there, because those rocks are still perfectly cut to this day. And like, structures that we made with man-made machines 100 years ago aren't standing up anymore. And these things were made how many thousands? And they're still there, and we're still wondering how they got there. Meanwhile, the McDonald's down the street got demolished by a car last week. So, I mean, someone's engineering is off. And I think it's...
For example, if we look at these things and we think, okay, well, they would need cars and tractors. There was something found, like a computer 2,000 years old, equivalent to like a Mac, like in terms of how it was built and stuff, 2,000 years ago, whatever. Underwater, there is loads of ancient cities and stuff. We're thinking, well, we have tractors now. We only had phones and iPhones like the last 20 years. How is that possible? Are humans literally going round in circles? So, for example, humans were doing all the Stonehenge stuff and phones and iPads. They got too smart. They fucked off. They built a spacecraft and went abroad. And then the next generation of humans come along. They make a house equivalent to the Stonehenge and pyramids, and they make iPads and iPhones equivalent to that thing that was found on the water. And then we think, fuck it, let's go to Mars. And then we build a spacecraft to go to Mars. Are humans literally repeating the cycle? Like, have we, is our consciousness connected to past humans, like reincarnation as such, where we're all doing things that we've already done before? Like, can you see the patterns?
Yeah, and it's because humans are creatures of nature. Like, we're forced to repeat ourselves. So whatever's written in our DNA, we're going to do it again and again. Hence why we've been fighting each other since we were monkeys with sharp sticks, and now we're still fighting each other. It's just we don't. Which, not to get political, but like the whole gun control and knife control thing, like you can read back on cave paintings, and dudes were killing each other with a rock tied to a stick. So if a human go ahead.
No, I was gonna say exactly. So we have police, and when something happens, we're like, where are the police? They should be doing something. Where's the flu jabs? We should have flu jabs. It's like, no, if we didn't have flu jabs and enough police, you'd soon see what flu can do and what fucking apes with fucking rocks will be doing without the police,
We're going to be in a field and like, hey, this rock is really sturdy. If I tie this to a stick, I could really hurt somebody. Then you walk into like your village and, bro, I tied a rock to a stick and made a weapon. Like on like South Park, whenever. Yeah. Like he just walks in with a rock tied to a stick and everybody just starts aping out.
That's the thing, right? Who needs knives and guns when you can literally just get a stick and tie a rock to it with some, I don't know.
And it's a more horrible death than like getting shot or stabbed because you're getting.
Just learn from the past. A rock was all it needed to take over the jungle. Like, want this jungle?
Yeah, like then it's going to be like, oh, hey, we need to outlaw big rocks. Like, it's no fair that those guys over there have access to all the big heavy rocks and we just have the medium rocks. Like, that's not fair. Big rocks for everybody, or get rid of big rocks, period.
We'll have to start taking Stonehenge down before anyone gets any ideas.
Could you imagine if somebody tied one of those to a stick and just like
a massive seesaw? Like,
the next energy source we're going to be talking about is the big dick energy that guy's going to be exuding when he's like walking down the street with like a Stonehenge stone tied to a stick, just like, cheers, top of the morning to you, lad.
And also another theory is that humans used to be really, 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 really tall back then, so they were able to lift up those big rocks. Is it really possible for somebody like twice our height to lift a rock that big, or is it just simply just unexplainable?
Yeah, if we were twice our size back then, like, I can see where it'd be probably a little easier to do a lot of that stuff. But then that means we'd be finding like giant skeletons and all that stuff. And which we're not. Yeah.
But isn't that because everything's underwater and all the human skeletons years ago are now underwater?
Yeah, with the whole Atlantis thing, and there was another city that like supposedly sunk to the bottom of the ocean, which is kind of mystifying. It's like, hey, like, there's only one big famous city that sunk to the bottom of the ocean when the Earth is like 2/3 water, and there's only one. Like, I think there's a ton more out there that like just nobody knew or cared about. So,
Oh, like, yeah. So, 500,000 humans then. So that's just like they just needed one city, like Alabama, for example, 1 million people. But the floods and the storms that are happening now. Well,
yeah,
there's going to be floods in all over the place. Like you've got different parts of the city and state. There's going to be so many cities that are just flooded that's going to be equivalent to one city underwater. There's going to be like, say, 100 cities in Alabama underwater, 100 cities in Tokyo, 100 cities in England, tsunamis and shit, that they're all going to be underwater soon, and we're going to have to pick up and like build somewhere else. And then years to come, you'll have scuba divers coming underwater, and they'll come across this guy's porn magazine in an Alabama ocean. That will happen.
they would be like, wow, the long lost city of Alabama was weird. There's a lot of it that's porn. Like, a lot.
You just come across like a floating rubber dildo, like it's just like stopped at the ceiling. It's just like, what is this? Do we eat it? Like, I found food.
They're like,
a jellyfish.
We found a weapon. This is a modern Alabamian weapon. Look at it. I heard that they used to stab people with these. Where would they stab somebody with one of those? I don't know.
Clean my ear out.
God, could you imagine being in front of one of these in the battlefield?
This was a cool city. Did you know the Tyson Fury fight? Did you watch it?
No, but like everybody else, I watched the highlights and the memes, which means I watched the fight pretty much.
What do you think about that? Because like he was just like, they both haven't lost. They're both like 6 foot fucking giants. The only difference was that Tyson, his mindset was different to the other guy. So does that mean that you can have the skills, but the person with the belief already is the ultimate winner? And you can look back at entrepreneurs and sports people and celebrities and whatever, actors. It's the ones that just knew they'd already made it, the ones that make it. So what does that tell you about belief versus action?
I think Tyson just wasn't, like you said, right mindset. He just wanted it more. But I think Deontay said something to him, and it like rubbed him obviously the wrong way enough for him to like maul this guy to near death. But like I was reading something that he said, well, you should have killed yourself or something because you're weak and all this stuff, which you're saying that to a guy that already got out of like his dark spot. So he's like already out past all that, and you're just giving him more motivation. And everything I was reading was like, Tyson was saying like the normal, yeah, I'm gonna knock you out, I'm gonna break you, I'm unstoppable. And Deontay's insults were like, yeah, you're mentally weak, should have killed yourself, you're trash, you're just gypsy trash and all this crap. And I was just like, whoa, like
if you say that to a gypsy in our country, like if you knock a gypsy like that, they'll get all their family and all their friends, and you'll wish you'd never said that. So that would have fueled Tyson to be like, right, this kid is not getting away. Because if that was like him in the school days, wouldn't take that as shit.
But Tyson Fury's built like 2 gypsies sitting on each other's shoulders in a trench coat, though. So he's like
very powerful.
Yeah. Like I saw a picture of Tyson Fury's family with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Tyson Fury's daughter's head goes up to like Dwayne's chest, and I would assume she's about 7 or 8, and she's already like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like the biggest, baddest American, poster child, standing next to Tyson Fury already looks like just a child.
It's like the Wayne Rock next to Kevin Hart. But instead, Dwayne is now Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
And, Tyson is the Rock.
And then Tyson's daughter is like right there in the mix. It's like, Jesus, bro. Like, I know y'all are gypsies, but y'all need to figure out where like you were conceived and what your parents ate at the time, because that needs to be like repeated and weaponized. Could you imagine an army of Tyson Furies?
It would be like robots, where it would just destruct anything in its way. It would be like
it would be Hitler's worst nightmare. It's a bunch of like genetically superior white guys, but they're gypsies. He's like, oh, I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
What would you think's worse? Okay, Putin's Russian army or like equivalent of the men in the army in Tyson Furies. So say 20,000 Tyson Furies or 20,000 Russians working for Putin.
20,000 Tyson Furies.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, like if you piss one gypsy off, like, oh yeah, okay, lad, okay, wait, I'm gonna get me family. Hey, lads, you believe what this bastard said? Now imagine like 20,000 of them, like, oh, you hear what he said? Oh yeah, I heard him too. Oh, I didn't hear him. He said we're all cunts. Oh, okay, no, we ain't gonna stand for that. No.
Get out of the baseball bat, Paddy. We're gonna bust his fucking cunts ass.
I just picture them all with like Cockney accents and those little weird half fedora hats, just like cocked to the side and a toothpick in the mouth. Like, oh no, none of that today.
We can't be standing for that shite. Get him, grab his legs, fucking dump him. Do you have gypsies in America? Like,
there was a reality show that says we do.
Yeah. That reality show was shot in California.
No, it was shot in the South, which is even scarier because, like, when you think of gypsies, you would think like California or New York, like the sexy states. This was like in Virginia and North Carolina, and these were like, I think it was just rednecks that lived in trailers, but they were like Catholics, which to me, like, there's nothing scarier than a redneck Catholic priest.
Like true gypsy and travellers, they've either come from the travellers that come from Ireland, the gypsies that come from Romany, which is I think was
Romania. Oh
no. I thought it was Romania, but Romany. If you go on Google and type in it's not Romania. It is something like it was India. That was it. India. Like they've originated from India because there was like poverty war shit that was happening years ago, and they sort of travelled out, and they never actually established land to stay on like a country, so they just continuously go. So just because you live in the caravan doesn't make you a gypsy. Like a gypsy is like an actual, like, say, tribe, like a country, like British, who never colonized a bit of land, and eventually the land was all taken, and it's like, now what do we do?
They stuck to
yeah,
gypsy.
It's like a country that was never formed.
Yeah, these were Romany, because I know that like every time they did that little confessional box interview, they're like, oh yeah, my mom's a Romani gypsy, and I'm from West Virginia. I married my sister. I don't know what accent they had. Like, it's hard to explain because these dudes look like total like white trash. Like, most of them, almost all of them that I saw were like construction workers, and they were marrying a girl that, like, I guess cleaned houses, or like they were bringing in a girl that had never like had nothing to do with like gypsies, and like, oh yeah, she's coming into the gypsy lifestyle, and all the women are like, well, we don't like her. Can she clean a trailer home?
Yeah, there was a program in our country called Only Way is Ascot. Ascot is like, the race course and shit like that. Money, famous people go there. But these people, they weren't even from Ascot. They were from just all over the country that were casted to go on the show. So just because it's a show about gypsies, a show about Ascot people, it doesn't mean fucking anything. It's a business program. The aim is to bring in fucking viewers.
Is that like Towie?
Yeah, exactly like Towie. How the fuck do you know about Towie?
Okay, because Chris Pratt did an interview where he was doing like, the Chav Cockney woman accent or whatever, the Essex accent. And I was like, oh God, this sounds trashy. Because I've seen that show Misfits before. And like, I just fell in love with it. And then like, I started looking up what Towie was, and I started watching highlights, and I'm like, this is the trashiest television I've ever seen. And
it's like Orange County, like below times two, like, Orange Housewives or whatever. Like,
no disrespect. It's like Orange County with an extra chromosome. Because like, these people are actually fist fighting and like angry over like, I thought you weren't gonna bring Jordan around. Why'd you bring Jordan? Oh, Jordan's nice. She's a nice girl. Why can't I bring her around? She's my friend. Oh no, Craig! I told you not to bring Jordan.
Now that accent's made in Chelsea. Have you heard of Made in Chelsea?
No.
It's the posh version of that type of Towie program where it's all set up to meet people, and then Courtney comes over and speaks to Paul about how she didn't like the fact that he went for a drink with Jonathan on the weekend, but it's like a posh version. It's like posh London, Chelsea, Kensington, and then like Essex, like Alabama versus like I suppose like New York or something, you know?
So like Orange County versus Beverly Hills.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still the same garbage. It's just this one has a nicer coat, and he's wearing Armani, not Jimmy Choo.
Yeah, and the sun's out here and it's pissing down in Essex. Like, yeah.
Which I don't like the highlights that I did see from Essex. Like, if I'm ever in a bad place in my life and just really need to pick me up, I'll watch that show just to realize, like, hey, I'm doing great in life. I should call my mom and dad and tell them they should be proud of me.
Yeah, like that's the thing. That show will make you realize that your life is actually far better, but then actually that show can actually bring you down because you realize how much toxic, cancerous bullshit. What the fuck am I watching? Like, what is this bloody orange with fucking 2 arms and 2 legs? What am I doing watching this shit? And it brings you down.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you're like in a low enough place where you can't go any lower, it'll like uplift you, and then you get out, and it's like, thanks, Towie, you saved my life.
It's like Tyson Fury, like he literally was so close to dying. He didn't care anymore. He had money in the bank. He had a family. He wanted to die. He tried to take his life a few times, and nothing made him sort of get his life back. So watching someone like Towie wouldn't have worked for him. The only thing that worked for him was going back to the basics of what do you know? What have you always only known? Which is training. And it just shows something about people, and that as much as you try and evolve and do something else, you always go back to the basics. Like it goes on to about the ancient houses and stones and laptops and stuff. Humans always go back to the basics. You will always go back to, if you start doing podcasts when you were 11, you can try and do TV and media. You'll always go back to podcasts. And if you are fat, you'll often lose weight, but you go back to being fat. Or if you love a cheeseburger and somebody says, try this kebab, you'll go back to the cheeseburger. Like it says that we are kind of already programmed to go back to what we always knew, like chickens come home to roost, for example.
Yeah, it's written in our DNA. Like I said, we're creatures of habit. Like you can't teach habits. No matter what anybody says, like you can't teach somebody to have a new habit. You can try to incorporate other habits into somebody, but the way they came in, that's the same way they're coming out. Like you can try to accessorize and add different things, and maybe a couple things will stick, but they're going to keep going back to the basics, and they're going to be going back to what they know because it's default settings. Like if a computer messes up and freezes and crashes when you turn it back on, it's going to be back on default. I think humans are the same way.
When you think about how most humans actually used to live till 30 years old, for example, Jesus, they apparently, whatever, people used to die about 30 years old, right? The body would die at 30 years old. Let's just say that I say 20 years old, are kind of set in our ways, which means 2/3 of our life, for example, of terms of our body and DNA, is already programmed and set, which would make sense how when you're 20 years old and you do certain things that you either revert back to that or that's you for life. But it's interesting when you think about 20 years old is when we become like the person. And if we used to die at 30, what does that say? It says that we only start dying at, say, 90 because of how our brains have become so active that it's just kept our body alive. And, you know, we lose our eyesight, we lose our hearing, our bowel starts to go, our heart starts to go, our legs start to go. All of that starts to go way before, like, the brain goes. So it says that even though our brains are keeping our bodies alive for like 90 years, our bodies are still only designed to live for about 30 years old, for example. When you think about what age do we start to get disease, and then you think about how people will always go back to the basics at 20 years old, or technically that's 2/3 of your life. So it's interesting when you look at it like that, why we are stuck in our ways and we always go back to the same age of around 20 years old. It just seems to be around that kind of age gap where whatever you've done up until then is what you'll already know, and you can try something else, but you just won't change. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like, you know, you peak before 30, and whatever profession you're in at the age of 30, that's probably what you're going to retire as. And like what you were saying about like the brain's keeping the body alive, like if we actually stopped and thought, like, the human brain is the most powerful computer there is, and if we could figure out a way to, we shouldn't, like, I'm not giving anybody ideas, but if we could figure out a way to put that into a body that lasts as long as the human brain wants to last, like, I think the only thing holding humans back is humans. which is the bodies. If we put our brains or our minds into a computer and like figured it out, like we could probably destroy the world, and we shouldn't do that.
One of the other videos I was watching is about apparently on record the oldest person is, for example, 140 or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, if you go deep into the Himalayan mountains, deep into lost tribes in India and whatever, monks and shit like that, there's someone who was 200 years old, 250 years old. And you ask them, like, what was the secret? And no joke, they said literally meditation, love, and happiness and people. Now, these people ultimately don't really have a life. They pretty much just meditate all day. But it's simply saying that if you keep your body in harmony with nature and what it needs, your body can literally go up until 250 years old. Like 250 years old. Like that's unheard of. Love, happiness, and meditation. But we don't know about that because they're not part of civilization. But it just says that man, in the right circumstance, can live for as long as it wants to.
Yeah, and I think like meditation or like putting yourself in like a meditative state is kind of like a rest mode or battery saver mode, like on a phone. You know how iPhones have that option where you can put it in battery saver, and it just kind of slows everything down and keeps you from doing extra stuff. Like if we slow down, like I think we could kind of prolong everything, but at the same time, like that guy's 250 years old, and yeah, maybe his body's still technically alive, but how alive is it though? Like, is he going to be able to get up and go and do what he wants and needs to do, or is he just kind of, he's there, I mean, but not really there?
Yeah, so you know how, for example, yeah, so imagine a plant. A plant needs water to grow. If you feed milk, whatever the fuck, it's not going to grow. Like it's just not going to grow, and it's going to create its own disease and die. So we are no different to the plant. So we are feeding our bodies anything and everything but water, which explains why we get so many humans have so much disease. You wouldn't feed your plant fucking like McDonald's cheeseburger, but you would feed it like just mud, and that's all it needs. So if the plant would start to die when you're feeding it food and like kebab and chicken, why do people think that we are any different? And then when you look at it like that, you realize, wow, we literally can live for as long as we want, like a tree can. But the reason why we're dying and getting disease is because of the shit we're putting into us. Like, what do you expect?
I think taste buds come into that. Like water and mud doesn't taste that great, and maybe like that's all. Like you said, that's all we need. But humans are also really, what's the right word? Like overly ambitious. Like we want more, and like we're easily addicted. Like, oh, this tastes way better than that. Like, let's never eat or drink that ever again. And then bit by bit, we just start going away from what we actually need because it wasn't pleasing. Like it didn't get our dopamine going. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
yeah. So, yeah, a plant or a big tree can live like thousands of years as long as it has like the correct thing, like sun, water, space to grow. And you have like fish and like whales and sharks that live for ages, and tortoises and certain animals, they fucking live forever. Well, if a plant and a big fish can live as long as it has food and sunlight and water, whatever, why are we any different? If the nature says that you can live for as long as you want based on circumstances, why are we any different if we kind of get into tune with nature and only eat like the pure natural foods that everything else has?
I think it goes back to the ancient alien theory. We're not from here. That's why we're not able to like live like the animals here, the plant life here. We're created from some other kind of DNA, and who knows how they lived. And I think that's what's driving us to be different and literally destroy the planet. Because this one guy said that I think humans are the only species on Earth that gets sunburnt and that can't look into the sun, and just literally being out in the sun gives you skin cancer, which you got like the koalas and like panda bears, and they're never sunburned and they're doing okay in the sun. Like, it's not killing them just being out there.
So
And human,
my so go to continue.
but I think part of the reason why we're so eager to like try different things and go a different route, and how, like you said, if we just stop and eat naturally and take care of ourselves and stuff, I think it's just written in our DNA to like go a different route. Like, we're not from here, so we're not programmed like other animals to just eat and be normal.
So my theory to that is that the reason why humans get sunburn as opposed to other animals is because every animal has fur, most of them. We don't have fur. And the only reason why we stopped growing fur is because we went into like caves, for example, right?
Yeah.
Or we were in places that was cold as opposed to hot. So rather than migrating when there's heat or 18 degrees, the optimate level to live, we would stay in colder places, but kind of hibernate underground. We build our own like caves and shit. So eventually we didn't really have any need for fur and hair because there was pretty much no sun, because we were living in a place that was kind of, our fires and our campfires in the cave were warm. There was no sun, so we didn't need hair anymore. So we started to lose our hair because there was no sun. And now humans are going to the fucking beach in Malibu and sunbathing for 9 hours that even animals don't even do. Like a lion, it will kind of wake up, hottest part of the day, it will go under a tree for shade. So really, the animal's only exposed to the sun for like a couple of hours. And then all of a sudden humans think they can just sunbathe for like 9 hours with no fur. That's why we're getting cancer, not because... That's the reason why we're getting cancer, because we're not understanding the basics of, you know what I mean? That's why we're getting cancer.
No, that makes sense too.
And then man comes along and provides some sun cream and starts making millions of factor 9, factor 10, factor 50. That is why we're getting cancer, and no other reason. Like, understand that animals, they're smart enough to go under a tree. Like, you look at your dog in the garden, it will go under a tree when it's hot. So why the fuck are we outside in the middle of the sun with our shirt off with no fur?
Because if we take our shirt off, it's cooler than it is if we kept our shirt on.
Yeah.
Because we're that evolved. It's like, hey, you know this stuff we put on ourselves in the first place? What if we take some of it off? Then it's not so hot.
Yeah. Do you believe that everything in time, or should I say, when will everything start to be underwater? When you look at like tsunamis in Thailand and China, and like floods in like South Carolina, North Carolina, at what point will there be so much water that it won't just dry up and disappear, and it will just only get worse, get higher, until it becomes that lost city underwater, and you have to then build on another place, for example, Texas or whatever, where it's really hot?
I think it just depends, like, how long, not to get like into global warming and stuff, but like if the ice caps do melt completely, like I think then maybe like the coastal stuff, I don't think like it'll ever be the point where like everything will be underwater, but like maybe it'll be more than 2/3 underwater now. Like all the coasts and stuff, like you said, will end up further and further inland. But maybe 1,000 years from now, like California, like all the coastal states, I don't think they'll be there. Anything that was like surrounded by water will probably get eaten up.
Do you think that when the water does become inland, obviously the water on the planet is all the same water. It all comes from the same place. So you take it from here, you've got less there. You take it from there, you've got more there. When it starts to become inland and these new cities, ocean, rivers are formed, does that mean there'll be less water, for example, in the Pacific Ocean or the Indian Ocean, because it has to balance out?
I don't think so, because I think part of the water rising, something like you put an ice cube in a glass, and then that ice cube melts, and you haven't drank or moved any of that water, and now there's more water in your glass. Like I think that's what's causing everything to rise. And like you said, the same water is recycled. So like when water evaporates because of the sun, later on when it rains, it's coming right back down. So we're just trapped like in an endless cycle of water. But I don't think like there's going to be one place that's going to be like, the water level went down when everywhere else it went up.
Do you actually think that it's going to be habitable to live in Mars? Like realistically, yeah, we can go up there, but is it going to be habitable where we can actually build crops and food and actually live up there?
I think so. They maybe already have like everything they need for it. They just don't want to say it so that people ruin everything. Because if somebody told you like, hey, your house is great, everything's fine, but if it like you were ever to trash it completely, there's this whole wonderful place where you can go live and start all over. Don't trash it though. Just chill.
I want a small man helicopter where I can literally just take off, beat the traffic, and just hover to my office.
I don't know. Kobe Bryant tried that and it didn't end so well for him.
But yeah, that's because there was like 10 of them, so it probably weighed it down a little bit. But a one-man chopper with a kind of, I don't know, backpack or whatever, and a pole, and then a fucking propeller.
Like the Go-Go Gadget copter, just in backpack.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like that, like there's a thing that you can actually, there's a jetpack that man went across the sea with. That does exist. But the chopper thing is just like, a one-man glider thing, but on your back as opposed to sitting in it. Like, you can go, imagine going to work on that. That'd be amazing. Yeah,
until like you lop somebody's head off and then you're in a lawsuit because he was in a hurry to get to work and he took my husband's head off. Well, lady, your husband was flying above me.
He's like, hey, asshole, you're getting too close to my legs.
But why don't you raise your legs? Why don't you like lower yours?
You got the whole sky above you. Go up, fucker.
Like, I don't want to go up. This is my part of the sky.
So we'll have to have like different like meters of when you've got one person here. You have to have like 2 meters above and 2 meters below, and then he has to have 2 meters below him and 2 meters above him.
They're gonna drop little rivets in the sky that, like, when you go past it, it like makes it choppy and like bounces, like the things in the road when you're like getting. I don't know if they have them over there, but
yeah.
Like if you get past the line to a certain extent, like it starts making that sound, and then you get back.
That's the thing, right? I thought that was just simply reflection of lights. Like, obviously, you can see where the road is. It's reflection, but it does make that noise and it does wake you up. But was it built to wake you up if you cross the line, or does it just happen to do that because the reflector needs to be put into something?
I think it's a mix of both, because they can make reflectors that like don't do anything to your tire. But I think that bump and like the distance between them, I think it helps you. I think it's just part of like so many people have died from like falling asleep or not paying attention that they're just like, all right, well, we need something that does about 3 different things. Because somebody told me that it does like something else too, like it measures a distance. Like you can count X amount of those and you went like so far or something. So it like measures distance. It lets you know that you crossed the line, and then it reflects. So it helps the line at night. So.
Have you got a car?
I have a car, and then the Texas thing, I have a truck.
A truck? Have you got a motorbike?
No, not yet, because I'm still alive for now. So.
Do you think that Tesla will eventually, or Tesla will have a sat nav in the actual screen that when you're looking through the window you can see out, but you can also see like Starbucks, KFC, road ahead, traffic ahead, 4 meters, blah 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 blah, like the Matrix type of thing?
Yeah, I think eventually, but that's just going to ruin the whole gimmick of driving. Because what I enjoy about driving is like looking out and seeing everything and actually driving. So Tesla's already doing the whole, automatic driving. You don't have to touch the steering wheel or anything. And, with the automated screen that just shows you, you're just pretty much sitting like in a space shuttle and just like pushing buttons. I think that's where it's going to end up, where it's just a pod, and like your phone, like apps come up and it's just like, where do you want to go? All right, we'll go here. Oh, well, since you're going here, you might also enjoy these 3 places.
Would you get a flip phone if it was like folded up, so like a little Rubik's cube where you can like just plonk it on your table and unfold it, and then you've got like a massive phone, or like a massive 4G KTV, and like just fold it up and stick it on the wall like a magnet?
Yeah, that's. I think that's where we're headed, because now they got that. It was LG, that phone that you can fold like 3 different ways.
I've not actually seen that.
Yeah, you can fold it like sandwich style, and then you can fold it hot dog style.
Really?
Yeah, and it's got like it's fully screened and everything, and then like you can fold it the other way like that, and you can use both sides of it as the screen and the back. It looks like it's way too expensive for my taste. And like, again, like I've always been one of those people where like it's literally a phone. It's made to like pick it up and call people, and not just like sit on it all day and, spend 4 hours in the bathroom taking the same dump playing mobile games.
Netflix have this program. It's called The Chef or something. Has it come up on yours?
Yeah, I watched the actual movie that I guess inspired the show with Jon Favreau, John Leguizamo, and the
who
kid.
is that guy? Like, is he famous? Like, apparently he's an actor or something. What
Jon Favreau?
Yeah.
He directed Iron Man 1 and 2. He's directed a ton of movies. I think he did Wedding Crashers, I want to say.
Amazing.
Let me look it up on the Wikipedia. But he's also an actor too. He was on Friends.
So they made an amazing hot dog. That's what they've used for the trailer, where they make the hot dog, they cook the bacon, they cook the onions in the bacon fat, and they toast a brioche bun, and they put mustard and mayo or whatever. And it just looks so amazing that I'm going to make it for dinner tonight for my family. I'm like, I have to make that hot dog.
It's just a hot dog, though. Like, it's like...
Yeah, but in England, it's not a big deal, hot dogs. Like, you have them probably all over the place in America. In England, you can't really just find a place that sells hot dogs. It's like for us, it's like, I don't know, fish and chips. But,
yeah,
it's just not here. So when I'm sweet, I'm like, I can't remember the last time my mum, if she ever cooked a hot dog for dinner. I honestly can't remember.
I think that's like the Texan equivalent of like burritos. Like,
yeah, literally, yeah.
You go somewhere else and it's like, oh my God, they got these amazing burritos and all this. And like, bro, I grew up on burritos. Like, let's try something else. I've always wanted to ask a person from England this, but what the fuck is Nando's? Is that Mexican food? Because I keep hearing about it like, oh yeah, I almost slept for some Nando's. And like Nando, an abbreviation of the name like Fernando or something like that. I'm assuming. I don't know if like Fernando.
No, so I used to work for Nando's, and Fernando is actually like the founder or whatever. But yeah, Nando's is simply just a chicken shop or chicken restaurant. They sell thighs, butterfly. Well, they sell chicken basically with different levels of like chili sauce. So it's pretty much all the same sauce, but just different heats. And then you've got the usual rice, corn, garlic bread, and mash. The reason why it's such a big deal is because I call it the upgrade to McDonald's, right? You've got the certain clientele, the mindset, the middle class, lower class, whatever, that go into now McDonald's. Okay. But these types of people, they're not classy enough to go to like the restaurants in here, like just the proper restaurants. So there was like McDonald's, kebab, fish and chips, restaurants. There's nowhere for them to go. So the market of the Nando's is lower class can come, middle class can come, higher class can come if they want to, but they won't come again because there's fucking idiots all over the place. So it's like the upgrade to McDonald's where they got more than just a burger and chips. They've got rice, garlic bread, and corn. That's what I call it.
So it's
a common meal.
English Olive Garden, pretty much.
What's an Olive Garden?
It's pretty much what you described, just with Italian food.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like fine dining for McDonald's people, but still nothing like the bloody Ritz or the Hilton,
It's like one tier above McDonald's. It's like, hey, you fancy place to propose to your 5th girlfriend do this year. Olive Garden.
Exactly. Yeah.
Honestly, like all this whole thing was an argument on shout out to Planet Broadcasting, the Great Mates group. I think on the Weekly Planet they brought that up because of the Sonic movie. Because I guess Sonic has like a ton of advertising for Olive Garden, and the Great Mates group is just like people from all over the world. But a lot of them were like, okay, well, what they described was Nando's over here in the UK, and I was like, I thought Nando's was Mexican food. And they're like, yeah, well, what's like, and then there was an Australian that got in there. I'm like, so is Outback Steakhouse like a good representation of what like y'all are? And they're like, well, Outback's as much of a representation of Australian food as Olive Garden is Italian. And I'm like, well, Olive Garden's pretty Italian.
That's the thing. I find it funny, for example, how whatever is in the hype in England, if you have foreigners that come over, they hear about it. But it's not necessarily a hype. It's just that the people in this country have made it a hype. So then you go back to America or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, have you heard of Nando's? No, what is it? It's a chicken shop. But that's all it is. Like,
yeah.
Just the chicken shop. And like, if there's like more middle class, lower class people who only eat at this place, sorry, if there's statistically more lower middle class people, and they eat at this place, they're going to big it up. But it's only big amongst that community. Just like Ascot Racecourse is only big amongst the rich. It's just like, it doesn't exist. It's nonsense. Like, it's just funny how you bring it up. And it's like, it's just bollocks. It's like Justin Bieber, like, you know, like back in the day, like, who the fuck is Justin Bieber? Oh, it's just a singer. There's fucking millions of singers, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's like the hipster movement, like the whole trying to get onto something before, like gentrifying, I guess, like those weird bearded goofy looking guys that go to like Brooklyn and they're like, yeah, I'm trying to find like a, you know, nice mom and pop's joint and I'm going to make it my place and I'm going to go there every Tuesday and I'm going to have coffee and cornbread with my vegan non-binary friend Tiffany,
and my vegan cat.
Yeah, my cat's vegan. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Where it's like, I'm going to make this animal who is a known carnivore, who their entire species has been a carnivore since the fucking inception of their species. He's a vegan now, and it's his choice, and he made the right choice. Because even he knows that eating meat is bad. Even though, again, fucking dogs and cats have been carnivores since fucking Dino and I forgot what Fred Flintstone's saber-toothed tiger name was. Like, that's just the stuff that just boggles my mind.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Joe Rogan says about the vegan cat on Instagram. He made a joke about a vegan cat, and all of a sudden he was bombarded with abuse from vegan cat like people and like hashtag vegan cat. And he clicked on the vegan cat hashtag thing, and there's fucking cats eating bloody lettuce and fucking broccoli and like fucking vegetables, and then they've got t-shirts like hashtag vegan cat, and he couldn't believe it. It's like, and these animals are like all shriveled up like fucking skinny runts, like they're just dying for a mouse to eat some bit of protein, like please.
Yeah, like the whole gimmick of a cat is that it eats mice and fish. Like that's like, you go back to the Tom and Jerry days and like all a cat wants is a fish or a mouse. Like that's it. And now all of a sudden it's like, I'm vegan, so therefore my cat's going to be vegan too. And like in a year or two, that person's not going to be living a comfortable life because their guts are going to be all like touching each other with grit in the middle because they haven't eaten properly.
It's like, if you want to live in this house, you have to abide by our rules. We are vegan. You are vegan too. If you don't like it, you fuck off and mouth. Yeah.
My cat's also agnostic because I'm agnostic. So since I don't believe anything, my cats can't believe in anything.
And my cat is, he doesn't have a vagina or a cock because he went to the vet and we snipped it off. It can be whoever the fuck it wants to be.
Yeah, but I made that choice for him. But if he had a choice, that's what he would choose.
He'd still say the same because we're just in tune. Like, I know my cat. I just know that he'd be the same.
That's, I don't know how you feel about this, but like emotional support animals. Have you ever heard of that?
So, for example, you use an animal to kind of as a coping mechanism.
Yeah, like there's people that like, hey, I get nervous when I travel, so I have to have my emotional support dog. Like if I start having seizures, this dog will bark and let you know, like, hey, this guy's dying, help him.
Yeah, well, so like a disabled dog. Yeah, go on, sorry.
kind of like that, but not this. It's more of a mental disability, I guess. I don't. That's gonna rub people the wrong way, but if like it goes into like the next part, like there's people that are saying like their parrot is their emotional support animal, or their boa constrictor, or their horse is an emotional support animal, and they're trying to get on planes with their emotional support animals. So now airlines are like, hey, emotional support animals can only be dogs and cats and maybe the occasional hamster or whatever. And these people are like, how dare you say that to my emotional support ostrich? Like, look at him. This ostrich is my emotional support ostrich. And I don't fly unless he does.
Someone just goes to the airport with a penguin and he's just like doing this.
Like, this is Suits. He's my emotional support penguin. If he doesn't fly, I don't fly.
And like somebody brings on a chimpanzee and the chimpanzee like unscrews part of the chair and gets a stick like for the meal and puts a rock on it. It's like, we've evolved again. Quick. He starts like threatening the captain. It's like, we knew we shouldn't have allowed animals. And then there's like a fucking ape movement of airlines are banning apes. They are animal racists. I can have my penguin, but we can't have an ape. And it's like, at what point does it become where, like, that's the thing, we in the animal kingdom, you learn to be alert, and you learn that life isn't as simple as I'm going to eat my meal and no one's going to touch it because the police are going to, grab them. You're on alert. You deal with shit. You deal with like the fear of an animal going to get you, emotional abuse, whatever. These days, no one's dealing with the shit that life faces us. Government's just writing a stupid law. What did you say you were? Penguin binary? No problem. We respect you. I'll add that to the fucking millions of gender bullshit. Yeah? It's like, at what point do you start like shoving people in the water and saying, fucking learn to swim? No one's going to save you. Okay? We can't just be like, right load of bollocks just to protect your feelings. Like, at what point do we realize that, yeah, the reason why we're just adding shit rather than getting people to face life is because of capitalism, customers, boycotting. Companies need these people, and they're so big online that they can literally affect the profits of any company at any point if they don't like something a company's doing. So what you do is you serve them. Sorry, did you want penguin sandwich? No problem. We don't need to boycott us. We'll find a penguin and we'll add it to the list. And so rather than being like, look, fucker, we're not going to sell penguins. We're a Nando's or a chicken restaurant, okay? Fuck off. If you don't want to come, don't. We're a chicken restaurant. We're not going to cater for your bollocks. And so now everything is about catering for the people's emotion and adding stuff. And like vegan cat, no problem. You want a little donkey for the plane? Yeah, we'll make a little cage inside for the donkey. At what point does it become where you've got like a zoo on a plane? You've got a cage for the birds, fucking cage for the chimps, a cage for the children, a bloody pen for the dog. At what point does the world be like, look, this is reality of life. Get your shit together. Does it end? Like, what? How does it stop?
I think it'll stop whenever, like, the next big disaster or whatever happens, and where it comes down to like, oh, I can't go outside without like, these amenities. Like, how am I going to survive? Like, what do you mean the grocery store's gone? Like, I'm vegan. I need to eat lettuce and kale and whatever else vegans eat. It's like, what do you mean I'm going to have to hunt for my food now? Like, I think that's where it'll kind of like shift back. Like, I'm all for like the next nuclear apocalypse because I think
I believe that we need a good war to get the human race to wake us up. We've like evolved too quick, and we've sort of forgot that we're not actually in control. Nature's in control, and we need a wake up call. Like, over the last 15 years, because everything's online, everyone's feelings are heard, and then you sort of adapt to that feeling because everything, as I said, money is made online. These people can affect the profit, so you just like cater for them. Did you say you want to allow a bloody fish on the plane? Yeah, no problem. Because then the fish community starts saying boycott bloody American Airlines, and their profits sink. And
I think it's like the last 10 years, like realistically, like when you started allowing everyone to have a computer in their hand and give them access to the internet, because now you can go to like the local dollar store and buy a cell phone with access to Facebook and the internet for like $40. So now that person for $40 can get on the internet, and it's the internet. They can literally go anywhere they want on there and complain about whatever they want and voice their opinion when like 10 years ago, like only certain people could afford that phone and be on the internet. You had to sit at a computer. And even then there wasn't that much there wasn't that many platforms for you to voice your opinion on. And I think, when Twitter and Facebook and now they're using Instagram for that. Instagram was about posting pictures of food and like of your friends. Now it's like going over there to spread your message and like your agenda and all that. It's just, I don't know. I think we're using social media the wrong way.
What I find fascinating, for example, is a company will have a few complaints, like 1,000 complaints out of millions and millions and billions, right? And those thousands of people will end up influencing that company and how they do something, whether they drop somebody, whether they change something, whether they pull something off the internet. 1,000 people out of millions of people can now affect that person's decision. And it's not like they have any control or power or they're going to lose money through advertising. It's merely the fact that you feel as if you don't take action when some fucker goes online and complains about, I didn't like how he said that cat bloody whatever, that it's going to affect you somehow. So this natural thing now is to just remove the problem. Don't address it. Don't even just fucking get rid of it. And it's changing everything because now these people feel they have power. So now these thousands of people become 2,000. And then it's just going to only get worse. But these people are nothing in comparison to the bigger picture. But yet companies are just fucking surrendering to these fucking Facebook bullshit groups online.
And they're the ones, they're not even customers of the product sometimes. They're like orders. It's just somebody that was like, hey, I read that y'all don't like penguins. That offended me. I'm going to start a group that I don't know what we're going to call ourselves, but we're the Penguin Lovers of America. and we don't approve of what you said. And we're now 7,000 people. So now there's 7,000 people that have no idea what you sell or what you're about. And they're threatening to boycott you. And all you see is 7,000 people.
And they're in fucking India. They're not even in the same damn country as the business.
Those are 7,000 customers, potential customers. And I think that's part of the problem. Like big companies see everyone as a potential customer instead of just looking at someone like, hey, are you an actual customer? Do you actually matter to us? Or are you somebody that could matter to us? And I think that's where they're going wrong. They're catering to the people that could matter instead of the people that actually matter.
So true.
And that affects the people that actually matter because it's like, okay, there's 6,000 people over here complaining that we hate penguins. Like, hey, we're going to change everything about our company to just focus on penguin love. And now the 40,000 people that you actually have supporting you, buying your product every day and, keeping you afloat. Now those 40,000 people are like, hey, we don't give a damn about penguins, bro. Why?
Yeah, for example, McDonald's, right? iPhone, Apple, right? This is why they've become so big. Like Apple, they've just stuck to laptops, phones, and iPads. Yeah, they sell Beats, but they're not part of the Apple brand, for example, right? Yeah. McDonald's, cheeseburger and chips. They have special things on the menu, but they've kept to the basics, right? Nando's, for example, they sell just chicken. Now, once somebody came into Nando's and they said, have you got any plain chicken? I'm really sorry, we're a chili restaurant. We are a brand special in chili. I think this is awful. You don't have plain chicken for my children. Blah, 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 blah. As if we were suddenly going to come up with, actually, we found some plain chicken, actually. Here's some plain chicken. She was pissed off that we didn't cater for her children because they don't like spicy food. It's just like all this vegetarian and vegan crap.
Yeah.
Nando's have a vegan and vegetable wrap. So what happens is, you start to cater for all these bloody vegans and vegetable bullshits and penguin people. The chicken customers end up not going there anymore because they can't get a bloody table. Because now the chicken restaurants fill bloody half of vegetable people, vegetarians. And then the food takes longer because you can't now cook the bloody chicken on the same grill as the vegetable grill because he's got a gluten allergy and whatever. So now the chicken people fuck off. And now you've got a restaurant full of everyone. So now it becomes about money and potential customers as opposed to you're losing half your fucking customers, mate. Why don't you stick to just cheeseburgers like McDonald's?
Yeah, you're forgetting what brought you to the dance. I hate when people go to I had an argument with an ex because she was defending this guy that showed up to a steakhouse and he wanted vegan options. And I'm like, this dude is an idiot because he's at a steakhouse. She's like, yeah, but every place should be inclusive. I'm like, inclusivity should be like race, sexual orientation, and like mental capacity, all of that. It shouldn't be like a lifestyle choice. Like, okay, I chose to not eat meat. I'm gonna go eat at a place that predominantly, literally, the name steak house. Steak is meat. It's in the name. I'm gonna go to this place, and I'm gonna get upset if they don't have what I want to eat. You can't do that. Like McDonald's, like you said, makes their money off of cheeseburgers. The key ingredient is burger, which is meat. And you're going to go there and you're going to raise hell because, oh, I need gluten-free, non-dairy, vegan options, which completely kills the burger because the burger is essentially just meat, cheese, and bread. So now you want something that doesn't have the three things that restaurant has, and you're mad because that restaurant won't bend to your will. And you're saying like, oh, well, it's not inclusive. Like, this place doesn't care about me and it doesn't care about my kind. And I think that's where we're screwing up, like messing up other businesses, because it's like, hey, they've made billions of dollars by selling one thing. They won't sell me what I want. They're a bad company.
If you go back in the day, right, you'd have somebody selling just carrots on the farm. The other farmer, just sweet corn. The other farmer, just cabbage, just olives, just apples. If you want apples, go to that farmer. If you want cabbage, go to him. Don't go to the apple farmer and say, why the fuck is he not selling sweet corn? He's a fucking apple farmer. Yeah?
No, but
if you don't like it, fuck off.
It's worse. They go to the apple farmer and like, hey, why don't you have sweet corn? Oh, I only sell apples. So fuck me, right? And fuck my opinion. You know what? Okay. Hey, this guy doesn't care about people that like sweet corn. He only cares about people that like apples. And it's like, whoa, buddy. Hey, I don't want no trouble. No. You didn't want to sell me what I wanted to buy. Like,
I have
bro,
rights.
they sell sweet corn down the road. Oh, so now you're telling me I'm not good enough to shop here?
Customers always right, asshole.
I feel like that's where everything went wrong, where companies started telling people the customer's right. I've worked at restaurants and businesses before, and like the one thing I've gathered is like, fuck the customer. They're not right. You had to get X amount of training and X amount of experience to get where you're at. And you're going to tell me that somebody that's never worked where you work, that has never put in hours or done anything, has the right to tell you how to run the business. The customer's not right. You're right. The customer has sway and suggestion, but they should never always be right. And that's where everything went wrong, where companies started saying like, hey, we value our customers so much that whatever they say goes. And it shouldn't be that way.
No, it becomes all about money. So the rollover of money. So give them their meal for free. Just get them to come back. Customer always right. It's not that they're right. It's if you want them to come back, do what they want. If they say their cheeseburger's a bit burnt, make them another fucking burger. It only costs us like £1, and we're selling it for £7. And so the people, more power people have, the more companies need them, and they use it to their advantage. But also when it goes shit south, they also need to suddenly, or put vegan food on the diet for you. So it becomes about the turnover of profit. Everyone's a customer. There's no specific like genre or category or just apples, just corn. It's like everyone is now a customer, especially online. Cater for everyone, because every 200,000 you lose, you gain 100,000. And how are companies supposed to manage anything anymore if like customer support is bombarded with some fucking mother who felt like her chips were too small in portion and she wants a free meal next time? Like, how the fuck are you supposed to manage this?
Yeah, I think humans just got way too entitled. Like, it's just like we're greedier than we've ever been. Now it's like, hey, I didn't really enjoy that meal. I'm going to complain online. My next meal is going to be free. And next time I go, they're going to treat me like a king. I think like if I got the opportunity to run one of these big companies for about a week, I wouldn't run it into the ground necessarily, but I'd get rid of like the quote unquote customers that don't need to be there. The ones that are like trying to essentially bully that company into getting their way. Like, like you said, like, I didn't get enough chips and I think you should give me a free meal. It's like, well, we give the same portion of chips to everybody. And if you don't like it, the door's right there. Thank you, fuck you, bye. Well, I'm never coming back. Well, let me wipe these tears with this $100 bill. Like if they had mentality for a week, I think all those businesses would flourish just a little more, which they're already flourishing. If you're at the point where you're worrying about like what one person says, like that it could affect like, you know, the whole mob mentality, like, hey, if this lady goes online and like starts complaining, it's going to ruin like our PR situation. Like,
yeah, like one person complains and then they feel like if they suddenly get a free meal or they're being heard, they tell their other friends. And now you've got like 5 of them. It's like one wasp. You give a wasp a bit of food, which I did, by the way. I thought if I give this wasp food, it's going to fuck off. No, it took that food. I saw it clench that bit of bread. It fucked off. Other wasps saw that this wasp had a great bit piece of bread in its mouth. No joke. 5 more came. Okay. And then I let them have their own bit. Fucking 10 more came, and I had to go inside because now my plate was swarmed with wasps. So if you give somebody something, they won't fuck off. You'll just make the problem worse. And companies are like, oh, I'm really sorry. Oh, we're so sorry your food wasn't up to your standard. Here, have a free meal. Oh, now all I've got to do is complain. No proof. I wasn't even at the bloody restaurant. I'm not even in the same damn country. But now I can send over that check to my family in that country. They get free food. And there's no like discipline. There's no, I'm sorry, but that's bollocks. Like there's no discipline anymore. Like even parents are struggling to discipline their kids because they're just, no one's strict and firm and disciplined, and
everyone's just trying to please everybody. It's not to the point where people are just focusing on being happy themselves and like focusing on themselves or the people around them. It's like, hey, I have to make everybody happy. And if I don't make everybody happy, then I'm a shitty person.
Yeah, but no, McDonald's have, if they keep this system of just burger and chips, and people know that as much as they whine online, they're not going to start making a lamb burger, right? Because they're a fucking beef burger restaurant, or they're not going to start selling fish and chips, and they'll be the biggest company ever.
They made $1 billion off of cheeseburgers. That was their whole gimmick. That's what brought them to the dance. That's what got them there. But they just got so greedy. It's like, yeah, like Justin Timberlake on The Social Network. Like, yeah, $1 million is cool, but you know what's cooler? $1 billion. Now it's like, okay, what if we can make $1 trillion? You're like, yeah, that's great, but you can't make $1 trillion selling burgers. They're like, but what if we sell everything but burgers? Like iced coffees and chicken nuggets and ice cream and like all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, what about the burgers? The burgers made you $1 billion in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, the burgers are great, but spaghetti. Yeah.
Imagine going to a fucking McDonald's. You say, yeah, I'll have a bolognese, please. Oh, we've only got lasagna. That'll do. That's fine.
That's actually a thing.
Fuck, you know.
The Muxgetti or something like that.
Are you serious?
Like, yeah. Like they're trying options and like all this other stuff.
That's the thing. Like apparently, like there's going to be a place that sells pizzas. What was it? KFC in England. They're doing pizzas or something where you have chicken on the pizza. I'm like, that's good. But then you've got to think about where the fuck are you going to put this pizza grill? That's going to cost you $2,000. Like you're a chicken restaurant. Stick the chicken.
The reason that is because Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and KFC, at least in the United States, are owned by the same branch company. So there's a lot of where it's like a KFC on one side and a Pizza Hut on the other.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're owned by the same company. So like, if you go to a Taco Bell, like I guess like if they ever have like popcorn chicken, it's the exact same popcorn chicken that KFC had, or Taco Bell has the same seasoning and ingredients as Pizza Hut does.
There's only, as far as I'm aware, there's no Taco Bells apart from one in London. Why is that? Why have they not come over to England? Like Taco Bell burrito. Why?
Just lucky. Just Taco Bell it's good, but it's not good rectally. If you catch my drift.
For your asshole, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's great going down. It's not great spewing out.
It's true. Like when I have a biryani curry, it tastes nice, but you do have the shits. Like shit is going down there. You can't pick and choose, can you really?
No, it's the lesser of two evils, I think, because it's either like you shit it out or you eat shitty food.
What time have you got to go?
Probably like right about now.
Right. So I picked up your thought. We'll end it here. I'm just gonna stop the chat. Anything you want to plug quickly or anything?
No, like if you thought I was funny, I hope you did. I'm funny.
I did find you funny.
Internet. I have a podcast called Local Trash. We drop new episodes every Tuesday. We're about to finish our third season. We got about 2 episodes left before we take a little break and come back. Also have for your Hispanic listeners, I have a Tex-Mex podcast called Achievable. Drop episodes every Friday. And I'm part of the No Please Don't Podcast Network. We actually have a podcast from England, Sweet Connection. I'll send you their information real quick. They're both Ben and I forgot the other guy's name. They're really funny. And that's about it. Just check us out at www.nopleasedon'tpodcast.com. And just, yeah, that's it.
And that is the burrito wrap. I'm going to press stop and we'll just say goodbye at the end, all right?
All right.